This is by far the best exotic primary weapon in PvE. And that exotic primary weapon is called the Graviton Lance. Why am I saying that this primary pulse rifle is very good in PvE? Well, in the recent patch notes, Bungie has increased the PvE damage for the Graviton Lance by 67%, and you can tie this Graviton Lance by using this Void build on the Warlock, which makes the pulse rifle even 10 times better than it already is. And that exotic armor piece that you're going to use for the Warlock is Nezarec Sin, because of the armor perk, which is called Abyssal Extractors. Here's what it does. Void damage kills increase ability energy recharge rate. So by using the Graviton Lance, in which case is a void weapon, it would give your grenades and melee regeneration rate by 300%, and for your class ability and your super regeneration rate, it will be all the way up to 200%. So every time you would get a kill, the Abyssal Extractors will last for 2.5 seconds, in which case it would max out to 20 seconds. If you would like to try out the build for yourself, and which I highly recommend, the dim link will also be in the link of the description. And here is how we can buff the Graviton Lance even more than it already is. Let's start with the fragments first. There are currently 4 fragments that you need to make this build extremely overpowered. The first one you're going to need to use is Echo of Instability. Defeating targets with grenades grants volatile rounds to your void weapons, and volatile rounds last for 11 seconds whenever you get a grenade kill. The second void fragment is Echo of Undermining. Your void grenades weaken targets, and your void grenade that you're going to be using is the Vortex Grenade, because you can be able to overcharge this grenade by this aspect called Chaos Accelerant. Whenever you hold your grenade, it would overcharge it to make it deadlier and more effective. So for example, we're using Vortex Grenade, so it increases the size and linger duration of the vortex. So whenever you weaken a target with your Vortex Grenade, you'll be rewarded with a Orb of Power, but you will need to have this void fragment called Echo of Harvest. When defeating a weakened target, it creates an Orb of Power and a Void Breach. But for this fragment, we're mainly prioritizing in the Orb of Power, which also gives us Devour. And here is what the second aspect is, and that is Feed the Void. Defeat a target with a Void ability to activate Devour. While Devour is active, Final Blows restore health and extend Devour. So the base duration of Devour is 5 seconds, but we can be able to extend the duration of Devour up to 15 seconds. But you need to have this Void fragment, and it is the last one, called Echo of Persistence. Void buffs apply to Invisibility, Overshield, and Devour have increased duration. So in our case, we will be focusing on Devour, which increases it up to 15 seconds. And for the class ability, you're going to be using Empowering Rift, which increases your weapon damage if you're inside it, because you're mainly going to be getting heals from Devour. So might as well put Empowering Rift to increase your weapon damage. And for the super, it's mainly your preference, but for me, I would recommend using Nova Bomb Vortex. But if you choose to use the other supers, go for it. And the gameplay that you're seeing on screen, I was not using any seasonal mods that would benefit from this build. So you can use all of the mods, all of the fragments, all of the aspects, all of that for free. But if you do have the option to use the seasonal artifact mods, go right ahead. So the weapon that I'm going to explain right now, you can pick any weapon you would like from the kinetic section. But for me, I would recommend using Riptide because it comes with Chill Clip and auto-loading holster. With Chill Clip, you can be able to stun unstoppable champions and overload champions. But if you do not have the Riptide, you can use any other special weapon you would like. Now onto the energy weapon. Of course, I already mentioned it. You're going to need to use Graviton Lance. It's a void pulse rifle, and it of course got a recent buff in PvE by 67%. And here's the weapon perk for this Graviton Lance if you do not know what it does. The trait is called Cosmology. Kills with this weapon cause enemy targets to detonate and spawn void projectiles that track targets. This also stacks with Volatile Rounds, which makes this pulse rifle very good in PvE. And here's the intrinsic trait. It's called the Black Hole. Second shot of a burst rips a hole through space-time, doing high damage and recoil with no fall off. And for the catalyst of the Graviton Lance, it would give you Vorpal Weapon, which increases the damage against bosses, vehicles, and guardians with their supers active, and also Turnabout. Using this weapon to break the shield of a combatant or a guardian using their super will grant you an overshield. So if you will see a ad in front of you with a void shield and you would shoot it with your Graviton Lance, it would grant you an overshield. shield. And the catalyst will also give you plus 20 range, which bumps it up to 90 range. And of course, we're using a void build, so might as well have a void heavy weapon. And for me, I would recommend you would get this void machine gun called the Commemoration. Comes with reconstruction and killing tally. But if you decide not to put killing tally on the Commemoration, you can also put rampage if you would like. But killing tally deals more damage than rampage. Now that we're done discussing the fragments, aspects, and weapons that we need for this build, now let's head to the armor mods, which makes this build extremely powerful in PvE. Let's start with the helmet. The first mod you're going to be using is Harmonic Siphon, which ties to your super. So we're using a void super. So by getting rapid void weapon final blows, it creates an orb of power. So whenever you get a double kill or more, it would grant you an orb of power. The second armor mod is Ashes to Assets. You gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. And it's going to be easy getting grenade kills because you're going to weaken targets and you're also going to extend the duration of your vortex grenade. Now we're on to the third and final armor mod for the helmet. And that armor mod that you're going to be using for the third armor mod slot is Heavy Ammo Finder. Increases the drop chance of heavy ammo on kill. Now onto the gauntlets. The first armor mod you're going to be using is of course Firepower, which gives you an orb of power whenever you get a grenade kill. So currently right now you have two ways to get an orb of power. One is by getting a kill with your grenade, and the other one is by getting a kill with your grenade, but they have to be weakened. So you would get 2 orbs of power for the price of 1, but you could be able to get 3 orbs of power for the price of 1. We'll get onto that later. The second armor mod you're going to be using is Momentum Transfer. Causing damage with a grenade reduces your melee cooldown. And the third armor mod is Bolstering Detonation. It grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade. Now let's head to the chest armor. You're mainly going to be putting resist mods on your chest, so it's going to vary on what activity you're playing. So for me, you could put Harmonic Resistance, Concussive Dampener, and Arc Resistance, but then again, it depends on what activity you're playing, and you can change it as you please for the chest armor. Now onto the leg armor. The first armor mod, which is going to benefit for all of your abilities whenever you pick up an orb of power, is called Absolution. Reduces all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an orb of power. You can also be able to stack this by using these 2 other armor mods for the leg armor. The first one is Innervation. Reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. And the last one is Invigoration. Reduces melee cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. So as soon as you pick up 1 orb of power, it reduces all of your ability cooldowns, and it does it even more with your grenades and your melee. And the exotic helmet as well. So you're going to be able to have an ability spam build and a volatile round build on the Void Warlock. Now we're on to the Warlock Bond. Do you guys remember when I said that you can be able to get 3 orbs of power for the price of 1? Well, this is how you can be able to do that. You're first going to need this mod on the Warlock Bond called the Reaper. After using your class ability, your next weapon final blow spawns an orb of power. So here's how you can be able to get 3 orbs of power for the price of 1. Of course, you're going to be needing to activate your Rift. Then you're going to overcharge your grenade and toss your grenade at an enemy. Be sure the enemy is weakened. So as soon as the enemy is weakened by your grenade, it of course will kill it. So you would get 3 orbs of power just by getting a kill with your grenade. But then again, if that enemy is not weakened, you'll get 2 orbs of power instead of 3. So be sure to make that enemy weakened. The next armor mod you're going to be using is Bomber. It reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. And the final one is Powerful Attraction. Automatically collects nearby orbs of power when you activate your class ability. But if you're the people that have access to the seasonal mods in season 21, here's what you need. The first one you're going to need is Unto the Breach. Defeating a void debuff target creates a void breach while your void subclass is equipped. The second one is Protective Breach. Picking up a void breach gives you an overshield or refreshes your existing overshield. And last but not least, the last seasonal mod that you'll need for this build, for the people that have access to the seasonal stuff, you'll need is Supernova. Picking up a void breach causes your next source of void damage to create a large weakening pulse. And again, I just want to remind you guys, the gameplay that you're seeing on screen, I was not using any seasonal mods that would benefit from this build. So this build is very good without seasonal mods. If you enjoyed the Graviton Lance buffed build on the Void Warlock, be sure to hit that like button and also subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. If you would like to become a member to the channel, click on that join button. It's right beside the subscribe button, and you'll get exclusive perks to the channel. If you would like to learn more about being a member to the channel, please click in the link of the description. I do also stream on Twitch. twitch.tv/superapt4. I do Destiny 2 PvE helps, so if you need help with anything in PvE of Destiny 2, be sure to hop into the Twitch streams and I'll be sure to help you. It is twitch.tv/superapt4, or you can click in the link in the description, which takes you right over there. And I also have a Discord server where people could just chill out, relax, and vibe while playing Destiny 2. And there's also LFGs inside the server as well, so if you're looking for people to play with, be sure to hop into the Discord. It will be in the link of the description. I'll see you guys there.